The entire narrative around Gen Z's work ethic needs to change because it does need to improve, but it's also incredibly inaccurate. Let's take a step back. I came to the idea of making this video because I wanted to originally make a rant about how much I am not so fond of my current job. And I'm not a job trash talker. I'm not here to do that. That's not the point of this video or my content. But there was just too many things that I could have talked about. There's some big egos there. There's some not so fantastic benefits. I don't work with anyone, which is kind of just strange, like a strange way to live my day-to-day. And there's also just not a lot of room for growth, which is okay. Not every place is meant to be like to have all this upward mobility. But I'm at a point now where I'm 28 and I'd like to keep improving my skills. But because there were so many things I wanted to talk about, I didn't want to just I didn't think anyone wanted to just watch me rant about a job that they don't have and don't know anything about. So I was like, what's one thing that I could extract from all of these thoughts and just boil it down into one idea that is interesting or relatable or just something more focused. And one thing that I've experienced at this job that I've seen it firsthand is the whole discourse around Gen Z, their work ethic, and the opinion that older generations have about us. And yes, I am Gen Z, at least according to most sources. I'm repping the 1997. So I'm almost as old as a Gen Z can be. So I'm like literal freaking unk. Generations, they're kind of stupid, aren't they? I love like decadology and like how things have changed over time. But as time goes on, the whole generations thing is it's becoming unuseful and in fact maybe used for bad purposes. Gen Z gets a lot of schmack from older generations, and I'm just gonna be straight up. A lot of it. Oh, okay, so that's a thing. It's gonna happen. Anyways, Gen Z gets a lot of schmack, and I'm just gonna be straight up honest. A lot of it is deserved. I'm sorry, and I feel like I can say that as someone who is technically within the generation, and I think I can say it too because I'm speaking about myself as well. We tend to be a little bit unambitious across the board. Also, generalizing is dumb, but here we are being dumb. We can be less assertive. That's me. Part of it's because we're young, but we also don't have a lot of knowledge, where maybe older generations at younger ages might have been forced to acquire more knowledge about practical things. Although we do have a lot of knowledge, but maybe it's not super quantifiable. Like maybe it's very computer or social or like medical. Like I think we're more aware of a lot of stuff because of the internet, foreshadowing, but it doesn't translate often into skills that make you money at like a company or something. But here's the thing, and this is the thing that I want to be different about the way that I speak about this and about my content as a whole, is I'm just sick of the negativity. It's not productive. A lot of it is unwarranted or it's just superficial. It's surface level. People like just hating and not really understanding because it's easier, and like, why would I spend time learning about your life when I'm focused on making my life work? But the just constant negativity surrounding Gen Z as a generation and our shortcomings, I think ultimately just doesn't help the situation. And I think shifting the mindset to a more positive view is the only way that things actually change. And you could argue that some people, like older generations, they don't want things to change because it's easier and it makes you feel better when you can dunk on someone else, when you can make yourself look better compared to someone else. It's really only positivity and collaboration and help and a positive outlook towards the future that really will make any meaningful impact on, we'll just say, like Gen Z's work ethic. So while being as positive and nuanced, because I'm not here trying to rage bait, as nuanced and positive as we possibly can, let's dive into why Gen Z is struggling in the workplace. Let's go. Transition. First, I think it's important to establish that nothing literally or inherently actually changes from one generation to another. It's only the environment and society, and more specifically, how much society has advanced since the last generation. The second, the year changed from 1996 to 97 didn't chemically change the brain of people. There are reasons. It's important to establish this. There are reasons that people behave the way that they do. Babies on January 1st, 1997 weren't just had a shorter attention span. That's just not how as far as I can tell, that's not how biology works. Like I said before, it's also natural for older generations to dunk on the younger ones. It's human nature. It makes sense from a point of, or from the idea of superiority and authority. I'm very authoritative when the camera cuts out. Younger generations are typically more knowledgeable because of the means of accessing knowledge becomes easier. It's gonna happen to me. I know it. I know that one day the younger generation is going to, on paper, be smarter than me, and it's probably gonna make me feel bad. All you can really do is try to just keep advancing yourself, but an easy kind of way to cope with it is to dunk on younger people. I've definitely come across many people, older elders, that like to do that. It's not everyone, and I'm not upset about it because it is natural, right? But there's one guy, I'll just call him Mr. Condescending, or better known as Mr. Con. And he's one of those people who's close to retirement that, probably thinks he's the smartest person in any room that he's standing in. The problem is he is smart. He's also just super egotistical and a know-it-all. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. But basically, it's people like him that the most pungently make this claim that younger people and Gen Z are dumber or less ambitious or less assertive or whatever. And it also makes sense, people in elder generations come from a completely different world, and I feel like that is so important to emphasize. The world, it was obviously less technologically advanced. There was less means of access to information, and that made the world smaller. It made the world a little bit more straightforward. You weren't exposed to as much concepts and ideas. You graduated high school, you got a job, because you gained skills since you were a kid, and you had a family and bought a house. It didn't mean that the world was easier to exist in. And in fact, in many, many ways, it wasn't. And we're comparing the today versus the recent past. I'm not talking about my dad in this video, but my dad was born in 1960. He's at the tail end of the boomer generation. So basically, that's the group of people I'm talking about, because those are the people that are still in the workforce and at probably a lot of the senior levels. It's probably a lot of elder Gen X people as well. But yeah, it was still hard in the past. There was less opportunity, there was less access to knowledge, and there were a lot more things like social stigmas that people had to deal with. Today, things are inherently and on paper more comfortable, but the world, I would argue, is a little bit less straightforward. There's 1,000,000,001 things that you could do, think about, say, practice, learn, feel at any given moment because of the access that we have information to the rest of the world through the internet and social media. And I think there was probably a sweet spot during the whole come up of the internet where that amount of information was super useful because it opened up your mind to things that you could be doing. And that's obviously still the case till today, but just the vast amount of information flooding your brain on a day-to-day basis makes the world, makes life generally more overwhelming. And I'll dive into that a little bit more later on. But basically, the damn phones have a grip on this generation. They have a grip on Gen Z. And it is the portal, it is the grand source of a lot of Gen Z's shortcomings. I'm gonna try not to do this a lot, but I am going to note that I'm really not trying to come to this through the lens of excuses, because when you take ownership in your life, that's when things start to change. But I think it's important, like, you need to understand how things work in order to change them, in order to improve them. So that is the angle that we're exploring from here today. With that said, social media has an objective grip on this generation. And it's not because we all just have bad attention spans. Again, like I said, we weren't born just all with bad attention spans, nor is it inherently about the addictive nature about social media, although that is a massive part of it as well. Like, no one will argue that social media isn't addicting. To me, it comes down to the escapism part of it. Escaping from shitty lives is what leads to the addictive nature and the lack of attention span. People chronically go on their phones to escape the world around them. It's just convenient. If you went back in time and gave someone in 1960 an iPhone 15, like, they'd never put it down. You have this source of dopamine-ridden entertainment or horror show in your pocket at all times. So it's basically like a drug. Drugs are convenient, but they also make your life worse. And I think one of the ways that it makes your life worse is the fact that not only does the phone, the internet, social media feed you both good and bad information all the time, which is very emotionally whiplashing. Like, I love to point this out, like, to my girlfriend. Like, I'll open TikTok, I'll see just a video of the cutest baby and the cutest dog ever, and it is like just beautiful, and then the next video is literally like a video of one country bombing another country. You know what I mean? You've experienced it, we've all experienced it. On top of that, the worst part is that the phone gives you a perspective of this world that I don't think humans ever meant to be able to handle. We're social creatures, but we're small group social creatures. Like, tribe, we're very tribe based, but like hundreds of thousands of years ago, you weren't aware of how many humans even existed. Like, all you knew are the 20 people that were directly around you and like your neighboring enemies. And that was it. We're so aware of everything happening in the world, from the great things that happen, like the Artemis rocket went off yesterday when I recorded this, and like, that's pretty cool. But then, you know, a couple months ago, like, a whole school of kids got blown up. It takes up capacity in your brain and leaves nothing left for you to work with. All this information about the world also shows you how the world actually works. And it's kind of like a man behind the curtain scenario. Hundreds of years ago, you were just born into a society that worked a certain way. And who were you to do anything different? Like, that's all you knew. That's all the knowledge that you could have. So it wasn't even a decision. It was just how life worked. But now, like, we know how the financial system works. We know how capitalism works. We know how relations between countries works. We know what a country is and how we kind of just made them. And that's a perspective that, and this goes for everyone, that people have never had before. everyone alive today of all ages, we're all existing in the time, the first time that you can have this kind of broad perspective on what the world is and what's happening in it. And it's kind of a catch-22 because the more info you have, the smarter you are. But having that information kind of takes you out of the matrix of the world, and then it makes it hard for you to participate in that world, in that matrix, once you've reached that point of perspective. That also goes for things like religion, economics, social interaction. And this has been a big problem for me. How do I participate in this illusion, this society that we've created, knowing that it's fabricated, knowing that it favors the wealthy, and knowing that the grass is always greener on the other side? I'm inundated with the fact that other people always have it better, or are doing things better, or were the first at something, and I'm not, and I'm just here being freaking normal. I'm not cursing on purpose. I haven't thus far, so why start now? But next video, we're going to I get exposed for cursing on camera. Mothers everywhere are disappointed. This is a wormhole that you can't get out of. You can't unthink this way. You can't, once you've left the matrix, once you have an understanding of this world, you can't undo that. You can't dumb yourself unless you literally hit your head with a rock. I'm jealous of the past, because in the past, and I'm generalizing, but you often, in many ways, just kind of like lived in your own bubble. And I think older generations project that onto younger generations a little bit. Obviously, like, people aren't dumb. Like, people know that the kids of today grew up much differently than people in the past, and that's always how things have been. But when you have spent like 30 or 40 years of your life already in this like pre-internet, social media world, and then it's only been like less than half of your life, maybe less than a quarter of your life, that the world has been this way, you're gonna at least subconsciously project the way that you think people should be onto other people based on your past. And I think the internet is what really popped like this bubble of people existing in their own, like, you know, smaller contained lives. And I think objectively corporations have profited on it. I don't think it was like some kind of like long-term malicious intent or strategy of like, all right, like, let's make the internet, yeah, and social media, yeah, and let's make everyone into drones and make them addicted to their phones because they're escaping the horrible reality of life. But it also, we kind of created that world too, so we can profit off it even more intensely. I don't think Zuck made Facebook to stir up the pot, but it certainly at some point transitioned from just something cool, something new, fresh, hip, to a means of extracting, whether it's our minds, our money, our perspective, our time, became that at some point. Oh man, and now we're here. We're here in the attention economy. AI is taking jobs, which, you know, maybe is not as scary as it once was. You know, was it OpenAI announced that they were shutting down Sora, a video generation tool. A lot of my stress over this last year has been because of AI, because I'm a videographer as my day job, and I studied film in college. And as someone emerging in this world, in this economy, you know, I'm already battling this shit. Oh, there you go. I'm already battling this shit. Oh, I wonder if there's been a clip where it's actually connected thus far in this video. Editor, let us know. Oh, what was I saying? This is a chronic issue for me. I feel like things have cooled down a little bit, and I feel like people are starting to understand or find where AI's place in this world and in this workforce is, and that you can't just like replace a human that can conjure up new ideas, because AI, it can't come up with new ideas inherently. What isn't improving though is that the world is run by people with money, and they make money off their money. And yeah, it seems like older generations, they only care about the surface level fact. Gen Z sucks at working, and maybe in general, from their point of view. And a little bit mine too, but I'm talking about myself when I say that. But what can we do about it? The positivity. Remember the positivity? Remember we opened this with being like, let's talk more positively about this. Well, we've laid out the situation. We've laid out the playing field, the field of players, and the situation that we find ourselves in. I think Gen Z can improve in like a PR way, in like a how we're perceived, but also in our shortcomings. I just think we need a little bit of an olive branch and a little bit of a perspective shift. That's how English works. Perspective shift. We are out here to take accountability, and we know that there are no free handouts in this world. This is something that is hard to like grasp maybe in today's day and age, but golly, Ned. Not even this camera that's supposed to just work for my needs will work for my needs when I want it to. But there's no free handouts in this world. Gosh darn it. And as a generation, we need to decide to make positive change for ourselves. The older generations aren't going to change this world for the better for us. Politicians are not going to do that. Billionaires are not going to do that. There is no one that is going to help us except for ourselves as a collective, but also on the individual level. But what are some ways that we can actually make change that's not just get off your phone? Oh, just put your phone down. Just turn it off. Oh, just buy a dumb phone. Oh, just restrict the apps on your phone, which I do. And you should do that actually, because it helps a lot. I use an app called Opal, I think. Opal. It's probably one of the more common ones, and I've got everything blocked during the workday. The honest answer is that ultimately there is no answer to this. There are some things like we need to seek purpose in our lives. It's up to us to decide whether we want to create meaning in our lives. Kind of harping back to what I was saying before about how like once you've left the matrix, once you understand the world and how it works and see the man behind the curtain, it can be hard to want to participate in that world. And I'm not saying like just go work corporate, just go make money and just do what everyone's always done. Just don't waste your time doing crap that you don't want to do, and find the things that do have meaning or value to you. One thing that brings me great meaning in my life is my lovely girlfriend, Ashley, and the aspirations that we have as a couple for the future. So this is my word of encouragement. Gen Z, go out and date. I'm not trying to sound like a boomer right now, but like everyone has so many specifications and parameters that they're looking for in a partner. Choose to go like meet up with someone that maybe isn't the perfect match for you. But here's the thing, no one's going to be the perfect match for you. At the end of the day, you do have to choose to be with someone. You have to choose to love someone for all of their flaws and perfections. And I feel like people are just like trying to weed out the imperfections and find someone perfect, but we're all like as a generation struggling to maintain and find relationships because we're looking for perfection, but it doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not real, damn it. And sometimes the differences. It's what makes things better. Also, don't settle for bullshit, all right? If you're looking for a job, don't just take the first job that you get. Wait until you find the right one that fits your needs or your lifestyle. But don't be too picky. Just like with like relationships. At some point you need to make money. You got to make money. So, but just don't work just straight up for a crappy place. Like, find something at least half decent so you don't drive yourself absolutely insane. Work together. The rat race is only a rat race when we're all acting like rats and racing against each other. Okay, we can come together and we can help each other. And that's kind of just a vague statement, but if that made you think of something and made something click in your brain, you're welcome. And find replacements for your phone. Everyone's like, oh, just get a hobby. It's not easy, I know. You have to actually be into something in order to make it into a hobby. But maybe just try to expose yourself to things. Don't just write something off because you think you might not like it. Get your friends together and go out and do something random. And let's cut out the negativity, the finger pointing, and the self-sabotaging. If you tell yourself you're gonna fail, if you choose to be lazy instead of actually taking action in your life, and if you just spend all of your time blaming other people, and I get it, it feels good, but also there is a lot of reasons to blame other people. Talking about you politicians, I'm talking about you billionaires. There are powerful people in this world that are making it a lot harder for us to live in, but if you just only spend your time pointing your finger at someone else, your life will actually never improve, period. If you stop doing that, it could improve at least a little bit, which would be better than not a bit. It's important to know why things are happening and why things work, but only action will actually make any change in your life. Quit your job when you find another one. Start that business, but don't just sit around waiting for things to change, because it's not going to happen. For me, that looks like expanding my work into other companies or with other people. That looks like participating in non-phone related hobbies. I have a script in front of me and I wrote, I'm writing this script instead of scrolling on my phone. I'm making this video instead of just watching TV. Stay tuned to the next video to see if the DVD hits the corner of the TV. Now that's the content that you came here to subscribe for. Hit that subscribe button down below right now. And lastly, for me, that looks like being comfortable in the chaos. Oh no. Being comfortable in chaos is a familiar, somewhat comforting position to be in, but in the long term, it will destroy you. So stir up some of your own chaos in your life. Take some initiatives, take some ownership in your work. That's been a big thing for me too. Like, if I want to improve or if I want to feel better about my life or my work, I have to take ownership of my work, because if I produce crap, then that looks bad on me. And no one's going to want to hire me if I just make crap. And take baby steps, because having the feeling of wanting to make immense change in your life is super overwhelming, and it's going to lead you to not actually doing anything. So baby steps, you can do it. I hope this video was coherent and made sense. If there's anything that I talked about in this video that's worth talking about more, let me know down in the comments below. If you want to make change in your life, hit the like button down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.